I used to think driving at night was relaxing. Less traffic. Cooler air. A playlist I actually wanted to hear. It felt like the only time the roads belonged to ordinary people. That changed last November. I work as an HVAC technician. One Friday, I got stuck finishing an emergency repair nearly 2 hours away from home. By the time I locked the customer's gate behind me, it was almost 11:30 p.m. The GPS estimated another hour and 15 minutes before I'd be home. I wasn't worried. It was the same highway I'd driven dozens of times. Long stretches of farmland. A few tiny towns. Almost no traffic after dark. I stopped at a gas station just outside town. Grabbed a coffee. Stretched my legs. Then I texted my wife. Leaving now. Should be home around 1. She replied with a thumbs up emoji. That was it. Everything felt completely normal. About 20 minutes later, I noticed headlights in my mirror. Nothing unusual. Eventually, someone always catches up. I moved slightly toward the shoulder whenever there was a straightaway, expecting them to pass. They didn't. Instead, they stayed exactly where they were. Not too close. Not too far. Just there. I figured maybe they were nervous about passing on a dark road. People drive differently at night. So I forgot about it. 10 minutes passed. Still there. Every turn. Every hill. Every straight stretch. The same distance. I remember laughing to myself. Guess we're highway buddies tonight. Then I noticed something strange. Whenever I slowed down, they slowed down too. When I sped up, they matched me. Exactly. That bothered me more than I wanted to admit. Still, there were plenty of innocent explanations. Maybe they were tired. Maybe they were using me to help spot deer. Maybe I was imagining it. So I turned the music back on. Another 15 minutes went by. No other cars. Just mine. And theirs. I came into a small town with a single traffic light. It turned red. I stopped. The truck stopped behind me. I glanced in the mirror. The driver's face wasn't visible. Only darkness inside the cab. The light turned green. I pulled away. So did he. About 5 miles later, my phone buzzed. My wife. I answered through Bluetooth. You still driving? Yeah. You sound distracted. I think someone's been following me. She laughed. Following you? I don't know. Probably not. What happened? I explained everything. She stayed quiet for a moment. Then she said something simple. Don't go straight home. That hadn't even crossed my mind. But suddenly, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Don't go home. I checked my fuel. Half a tank. Fine. The GPS showed another town about 15 minutes ahead. I decided I'd stop there. If the truck stopped too, then I'd know. The town had a 24-hour convenience store. Bright lights. 2 cars parked outside. Perfect. I pulled into the parking lot. The truck kept driving. I actually laughed. See? Coincidence. I went inside. Bought another coffee I didn't need. Used the restroom. Walked around for almost 10 minutes. When I came back outside, the truck was parked across the street. Engine running. Facing the store. My stomach dropped. Maybe he had stopped too. Maybe. But why across the street? Why not here? I got back into my truck. I waited. He waited. I pulled out. He pulled out. That's when I knew. This wasn't a coincidence. I called 911. The dispatcher stayed calm. She asked where I was, what kind of vehicle I was driving, how long it had been following me. Then she told me, "Don't drive home. Head to the nearest sheriff's office." It was 18 minutes away. The longest 18 minutes of my life. The truck got closer. Not aggressively. Just closer. Close enough that I couldn't see its headlights anymore. Only the glow around my mirrors. Every time I looked back, I still couldn't see the driver. About halfway there, he flashed his high beams. Once. Twice. 3 times. I ignored him. Then, he started drifting toward my lane. Not crossing it. Just close enough to make me nervous. Like he wanted me to pull over. I wasn't going to. The dispatcher kept talking. "Stay on the road. Units are moving toward you. Keep driving." Her voice became the only thing keeping me calm. Then something happened that still makes me uncomfortable. I looked in the mirror. For just a second, the passenger side window rolled down. A man's arm came out. Not waving. Not signaling. Pointing. Straight at my truck. He held that position for several long seconds. Then slowly pulled his arm back inside. I had no idea what it meant. But my hands started shaking. Finally, I saw the sheriff's office. The parking lot was brightly lit. 2 patrol cars were already waiting. I pulled in without stopping. The truck slammed on its brakes. It sat there for a moment, then made a U-turn and disappeared into the darkness. Deputies tried to catch him. They never did. One officer inspected my truck. Then he asked, "Did you stop anywhere besides the gas station? The convenience store?" He nodded. Walked around to the passenger side. Knelt beside the rear tire. Wrapped around the axle was a small white zip tie. Fresh. He cut it off. I asked him what it meant. He shrugged. "We've had reports of people marking vehicles. Maybe to identify targets. Maybe as a signal. Maybe." It meant nothing at all. They never found the driver. They never identified the truck. I still drive for work. I still end up on empty highways. But now, if someone stays behind me for just a little too long, I don't tell myself I'm imagining it anymore. I don't drive home. And every single time I stop somewhere late at night, before I get back into my truck, I walk all the way around it. Just in case someone decided to leave something behind. The end. Story 2. She asked me not to stop. I used to drive for a regional pharmacy. Nothing exciting. Every night I deliver medications to hospitals and small clinics across 3 counties. It paid well, and after a while the route became automatic. Same roads. Same stops. Same gas station halfway through. The only thing I didn't like was the stretch between Mill Creek and Ashford. About 30 miles of 2-lane highway. No businesses. No houses. Just woods and farmland. If something happened out there, it would probably be a while before another car came by. Still, I'd driven it dozens of times. Nothing ever happened. Until one Tuesday. It had been raining on and off all evening. Not enough to be dangerous. Just enough that the road reflected every headlight. Around midnight I left the clinic in Mill Creek. The GPS estimated 35 minutes to my next stop. The radio faded in and out because of the weather. Otherwise, everything felt normal. About 10 minutes into the drive, I noticed a woman standing beside a silver sedan. The hood was open. Hazard lights flashing. She was waving both arms. I instinctively started slowing down. Then my phone rang. It was my dispatcher. "I forgot to tell you," she said. "County deputies just reported someone trying to flag down drivers near Route 18. I looked ahead. The woman was getting closer. Still waving. I interrupted her. "Where exactly?" There was a pause. "Somewhere between Mill Creek and Ashford." I looked back at the road. That was exactly where I was. My foot came off the brake. I drove past. The woman suddenly stopped waving. She just watched me. Her face never changed. No frustration. No panic. Just staring. I felt guilty almost immediately. What if she really needed help? Maybe I'd just left someone stranded. I almost turned around. Then something in my mirror caught my attention. A pickup truck rolled out from a dirt access road about 200 yards behind where she'd been standing. Its headlights stayed off for several seconds before turning on. Then it pulled in behind me. Maybe they were together. Maybe someone else had stopped to help. That's what I told myself. But the truck never slowed for the woman. It drove right past her. She didn't react. Didn't wave. Didn't try to stop it. She simply watched me disappear down the road. That's when I stopped feeling guilty. The pickup stayed behind me. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. No passing. No turning off. Every time I checked my mirrors, it was there. Then my dispatcher called again. "You still on Route 18? "Yeah. Deputies are asking everyone not to stop for anyone unless it's a marked emergency vehicle." I asked why. She hesitated. "They think multiple people are involved." My stomach tightened. The truck got closer. Close enough that I could see it was muddy. No license plate on the front. The windshield looked almost black from the tint. Then it flashed its headlights. Twice. I ignored it. It flashed them again. Then started drifting toward the center line. Like it wanted me to pull over. I didn't. Instead, I pressed the emergency call button in the company van. The operator answered immediately. I explained everything. She told me to keep driving toward Ashford. Police were already headed my way. About 8 miles later, I rounded a bend and saw another vehicle stopped on the shoulder. An SUV. Hazard lights flashing. A man stood beside it waving a flashlight. I didn't even think about stopping. I drove straight past. As I did, I looked in the mirror. The man never looked at the SUV. He was watching me. The pickup behind me drove past him without slowing. The man climbed into the SUV. Seconds later, the SUV pulled onto the road behind the pickup. Now there were two vehicles following me. The dispatcher kept talking. "Stay calm. You're almost there." I could finally see the lights of Ashford in the distance. Then blue lights appeared ahead. The pickup slammed on its brakes. The SUV immediately turned into a gravel road. Both vehicles disappeared before the deputies reached them. Neither was ever found. The sheriff later told me they believed the broken-down vehicles were staged to get drivers to stop. Whether it was robbery, carjacking, or something worse, they couldn't prove. I still think about the woman standing in the rain. Not because I think she needed help, but because she never once looked scared. She looked like she was waiting for someone to make the wrong decision. Story 3: Someone was already in the back seat. About 3 years ago, I worked as a freelance photographer. Most weekends I shot weddings. One Saturday, the reception ran much later than expected. By the time I packed my equipment, it was almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I was exhausted. The venue was in the countryside, nearly 90 minutes from my apartment. I just wanted to get home. The parking lot was almost empty. I loaded my camera bags into the back seat, locked the doors, and started driving. Nothing unusual. About 20 minutes later, I heard something shift behind me. I smiled. Probably one of my light stands sliding across the floor. I kept driving. A few minutes later, I heard it again. This time it sounded heavier, like a backpack falling over. I glanced into the rearview mirror. Everything looked normal. My camera bags were still there, so I ignored it. Another 10 minutes passed. I reached for my water bottle. As I leaned forward, I caught movement in the mirror. Just for a split second. I looked again. Nothing. I laughed at myself. Long day. Tired eyes. That's all. Then I smelled cigarette smoke. I don't smoke. No one at the wedding had ridden with me. The smell grew stronger. I cracked the window. It didn't help. My heart started beating faster. I looked into the mirror again. Still nothing. The back seat was dark. Too dark. I remembered one of my camera bags had tipped over and was blocking the dome light. That explained it. At least, that's what I wanted to believe. I pulled into a brightly lit gas station. As I parked, I noticed a man filling his truck nearby. Before getting out, I unlocked my phone to check a message. Then, very quietly, I heard breathing. Not mine. Behind me. Slow. Steady. I froze. Every hair on my arms stood up. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. The breathing stopped. Then came a whisper. "So, where are we?" My entire body locked up. I threw the driver's door open and ran. I didn't even grab my keys. I sprinted straight toward the man at the gas pump yelling, "Call the police! Someone's in my car!" He stared at me for half a second before looking toward my vehicle. The rear passenger door suddenly flew open. A man jumped out and ran across the parking lot. He disappeared into the darkness before anyone could catch him. Police searched the area for over an hour. Nothing. One officer later found muddy footprints inside my back seat. They believed the man had climbed into my unlocked car while I was loading thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment after the wedding. He'd stayed perfectly still for nearly half an hour while I drove. Waiting. For what? I'll never know. Maybe he wanted the equipment. Maybe he was waiting until I stopped somewhere isolated. Maybe he expected me to pull into my apartment complex. I think about that sometimes. If I hadn't stopped at that gas station. If I had driven straight home. I would have parked in the underground garage beneath my building. There weren't any security cameras down there. And no one would have heard me scream. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.